everybody. This is Gaelynn Lea. I'm here for the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which just so happened to fall on a Sunday, which is my weekly show. So I could not pass up the opportunity to make it extra special because it's an important day to me. And I am very excited to introduce my first guest. I have a huge jam packed lineup with like 7 people, and the first one is one I am very excited about, Judy Heumann. We met in,
Hello.
yeah, and so I'm going to let her introduce herself for people who don't know about her work and her writing.
Hi, my name is Judy Heumann. I'm an international disability rights advocate. I've been very involved in the movement from the 60s as we were kind of just creating it, and was very involved with people in setting up the first Center for Independent Living in Berkeley, California in 1973, and one of the leaders of the 504 demonstrations in San Francisco, and one of the people involved with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I've recently come out with a book called Being Human, an unrepentant memoir of disability rights activists that I co-wrote with a woman named Kristen Joyner. And I'm one of the featured people in Crypto-acoustic, which came out by Netflix and the Higher Ground production. And I'm a loyal fan of Gaelynn Lee's. She's the best.
That's so cool. I am super pumped that people get to see you in person because you have really inspired a lot of my activism personally, and I just think everybody in the world should know about what happened, like the making of like what Crip Camp was all about. That story I just think needs to really get out in the world, and I'm so glad that it did through the film. It was fun to watch, and I was like, I know her, and she's like 16. This is so weird. It was very fun. Um, so I have a question for you. Is because of today is the 30th anniversary, right? And we've come a long way. We have a long way to go, but there's something that I find really exciting about disability rights. Is this idea of disability pride and like seeing disability as a culture that's like integral to society. And I wanted to know how has the concept of disability pride and your connection to it shaped your work, and like when did you discover this idea, and yeah, just kind of what happened.
Well, I think while the word pride may not have been a word that's been coined more recently, definitely as I was getting more involved with friends of mine who have disabilities, we were really looking at the fact that we didn't want to be seen as the problem. Our goal was not for cure, our goal was for rights. And in order for that to occur, we needed to believe in ourselves, have pride in ourselves, believe that we were valuable and had the same rights as others. So the concept of disability pride has really been something that's a part of my life uh, from for decades. And I think it's only of late that the word has been used more prominently, but it's something I definitely have always discussed and espoused.
Cool. Yeah, and you can kind of tell from the way you guys, especially in Crip Camp, seeing the footage of the way you guys talked about, yeah, how you deserve to have rights, which is so obvious, right? But you wouldn't be coming from a place of lacking pride and have those
We have
beliefs.
rights with the realization of them.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's
Yep.
why these laws have been so important, is enabling us to realize and exercise our rights.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Oh, yay. This is so cool to have you discussing these topics on this important day. And I was hoping that you would do a little reading from your new book. Um, and I'm gonna leave the screen while you read, and then I'll come right back when you're done. Okay?
Thank you. I think it was a beautiful sunny day, but it might have been cloudy. I don't remember. What I do remember was being caught up in my conversation with Arlene as she pushed me in my wheelchair, talking about what we were going to buy at the candy store or what we wanted to do later that day. We were pleased to be walking around the corner to buy sweets in front of Dr. Nagler's brick house, which I knew was Dr. Nagler's house because I'd been there with my mother for her doctor's appointments. We paused to cross the street. Arlene turned me around to lower my wheelchair off the curb, pushed me across the street, and then, once we reached the other side, she put her foot on the metal bar in the back of my chair, tipped me and the chair back, and lifted my chair onto the sidewalk. As we did this, a few kids came toward us from the opposite direction. They were walking slowly down the sidewalk. As they passed, Arlene shifted my wheelchair to the side to make room for them. We didn't know them and we didn't pay much attention, engrossed as we were in our conversation. So I was surprised when one of the kids turned suddenly to look at me. He stood in front of me, staring down at my wheelchair. Are you sick? He asked me loudly. I stared at him, not understanding. What? Are you sick? He repeated insistently. His voice boomed. I shook my head, trying to clear the words away. I was still confused, but couldn't speak. Are you sick? He asked, slowing the words down as if I were a toddler. The world went silent as the words reverberated in my head. I couldn't hear anything except these words. Are you sick? Sick, 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 sick. I shrank down, frozen with confusion, wanting to cover myself up with something, anything to hide from that question. The boy's insistent eyes on me. Are you sick? He asked insistently, almost shouting. Suddenly, I became aware of Dr. Nigla's house behind me, and my face turned a cringingly deep red. Does he think I'm going to the doctor? But he's not my doctor, I thought fiercely. I fought back tears. I wouldn't cry in front of anyone. I wasn't sick. It made no sense. I knew I wasn't, but then, why was he asking me that? I became uncertain of myself. Was I sick? I saw myself through his eyes, and the light around me shifted. Shadows emerged from the corners of my mind, previously submerged words, thoughts, and half-heard conversations tumbled into the glare of the spotlight. In a blinding flash, everything in my life made a pervasive kind of sense. I couldn't go to this school. I couldn't go to that school. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I couldn't open doors. I couldn't even cross the street. I was different, but I'd always known that. It wasn't that. It was the world and how it saw me. The world thought I was sick. Sick people stayed home in bed. They didn't go out to play or go to school. They weren't expected to go outside, to be a part of things, to be a part of the world. I wasn't expected to be a part of the world. Abruptly, I knew this to be true, as if the knowledge had already existed for years throughout my entire body. I felt nauseatingly humiliated at the idea that everyone else had known this but me. Had they kept it from me? The embarrassment settled in as a cold ball deep in my stomach, where I could feel it spreading into my limbs. Was it sunny or cloudy? I don't know. I remember Arlene was pushing me, and we were going to the store to buy candy, and we were chatting, and I was a butterfly, becoming a caterpillar. I want to also
Wow.
let people know that if you'd like an audio version of this, the audio was done by Ali Stroker, who's the first wheelchair user to win a Tony Award for Oklahoma. And the rest of you, if you're interested in purchasing the book, can get it through Amazon or your local bookstore or Barnes and Noble, or many libraries are carrying it now too.
Yay, that is so good. I am so glad to hear that part of the book read by you personally. And isn't that a dissonance where you really, really don't feel like the world sees you the same way you see yourself?
Right?
And I don't know how that's what I want disability pride and just the disability movement in the future to change is the way people see disability so that there doesn't have to be this big gap, which kind of leads me to my last question for you, which is what do you see is the future for disability rights? Like, where do we need to go from here?
I think there are a number of major things we need to do, but the biggest, I believe, is continuing to grow the diversity of our movement. And now I'm talking about race and gender, religion, but also intergenerationally. Disabled people cut across every age group. People acquire their disabilities more as they're getting older. So I really want our movement to more effectively represent the 61 million disabled people in the US. I want us to recognize that the Americans with Disabilities Act is a wonderful piece of legislation, but we need more legislation. We need legislation, for example, the long-term services, home and community-based services, and the ability to ensure that technology, as it continues to evolve, is not shutting disabled people out, but rather a mandatory requirement as we design and invent new technology to advance social media, etc.
Oh,
Thank you
yeah.
so much for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. This is awesome. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and whenever the world allows, I look forward to seeing you again in DC.
And I look, can I stay on and just go hidden?
Yeah, I'll hide you and you should be able to hear everything. So,
Thank you.
cool. Thank
Good luck,
you.
everybody.
Oh, yay. That's awesome. I'm so glad she came. So, speaking of technology, we had a heck of a time trying to get captions, which we did, I think, get them to work. But the thing is she's right. It should be built into all platforms so that the people who want them don't have to be uh, pulling their hair out every second that they want them. So the next person up, I am so excited, is Lachi from New York City. Here she is. Hi,
Oh,
Lachi. How
hey,
are you?
that's me. I'm good. Hey, Galen, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I love this.
I am super pumped. In case you can't see by my perma smile, this is going to be a great afternoon.
Yes.
So, how about you introduce yourself for people here who may not have heard of your music or your work?
Well, the first thing I want to say is I'm super honored to be going after Judy, like the amazing legend. And I will be grabbing that book. Very exciting for that. I'm Lachi. I'm a singer songwriter. I'm based in New York, if you couldn't tell from the hat. I'm still here. There are still people here in New York City. Um, and I focus in dance and EDM, and I sing with a lot of big DJs, important people who are not super aware of the disability movement and the fact that disability is, what we could consider a diversity. But I do really enjoy my career as a musician, and I definitely do my best to use my platform to sort of spearhead my message of bringing disability to the mainstream in terms of
Yeah.
entertainment and media.
Yeah, you and I are very different genres, and
Yeah.
I feel like folk is trying to like realize this issue of access and stuff right now, but I suppose genres have different speeds with which they like embrace these ideas, right? To some
They have
extent.
different, you're right. I mean, there are different markets. There are different types of people within different genres. And I'm not going to sit here and praise or denigrate any,
Oh no.
type
Yep.
of person,
No.
but there are definitely just different mindsets when it comes to, say, for instance, pop and dance versus sort of Americana, folk, a little more of, there's a lot more feeling and whatnot into the lyrics of Americana and folk. And there's a lot more, I don't want to say, manufacture and hype behind like pop and dance. And so it's just a different beast. And so it's a little more difficult to get non-sexy causes to sort of jump into the mainstream in that realm. And I sometimes feel like I'm a bit of a lone wolf trying to do that, but it's necessary, and people are slowly but surely receptive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a couple questions for you before we get to hear some of your awesome music. And the first question is kind of like you just by nature of who you are, you're a outspoken advocate in general, but you're a black woman and a disabled artist and a woman in general in this industry, right? And
Yeah.
we talk a lot now. We're learning more about how there's an intersection of
Yes.
all sorts of. The intersectionality is very important, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that how have you like experience this intersection, and what have you tried, like what message are you trying to put out in the world where you do overlap like several different minorities? Yeah, I just kind of want to know
Yeah.
your experience with that.
Well, it's interesting because usually when I introduce myself as, well, I'm black, blind, and I'm a beautiful woman. Because I think that it's important for all three aspects. I mean, we're a trifecta of, especially when it comes to being a female and when it comes to being a minority. Um, there's a lot of difficulty in being able to be proud of your accomplishments and being able to feel like you did something, you gave to society in a certain way, and you're appreciated for it. So there's a lot of issues with that in those two communities, and then imagine sort of putting those together and then dumping a disability on top. So it's quite the mountainous journey. And I myself, the way I personally tackle it is I am uber confident. Sometimes I sometimes I know that I overcompensate with my confidence, but it's you have to I mean, self advocacy is so important. It's difficult because you're always told to sit in your place and be quiet, or you start to feel like, oh, they gave me so much, I should be so
I
thankful and
know. Yeah.
grateful, and that sort of complex. But I believe that the more we sit here and throw disability into the mainstream, especially in different colors and different races, genders, religions, that people will begin to slowly identify with it. Like, I love the fact that I'll go up to someone and they'll be like, sometimes you're quite the New York asshole. And I'm like, yes, I prefer that than the sort of pity party, type of like, oh my God, you're such an inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's the way I personally tackle it. And I always encourage anybody to always advocate for yourself. Do not be afraid to tell people how you feel, how you think you should be addressed, your pronoun, whatever. Just say it, because usually they just don't know, and they're not here to hurt you. They just need to be informed.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think about that with art all the time. The way reporters talk about me, I've gotten really explicit with I want to see it before you publish it because I might want you to change something. And at
Yep.
first it was kind of awkward, but it's like, the messaging isn't going to change if we don't have some hand in that.
If we
So
don't.
yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, well, I'm so excited that you decided to be a part of this showcase. Do you want to tell
Yes.
us a little about your creation, like your creative process, or like how
Yeah,
this
sure.
video came about? Because we're gonna show a video of you.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'm going to say is that in this video, I am wearing this outfit. This blouse is actually smart adaptive clothing. It's actually, fashionable on the outside, but it's got sort of like Velcro buttons for
Oh,
easy
cool.
on, easy off access. So you can look good, but it's easy to put on and off. It's good for people with disabilities, chronic pain, and stuff like that. It's smart adaptive clothing. I know I sound like a commercial, but I was so grateful that they gave this to me for today to sort of tout around. It's such a great brand, and I believe that fashion definitely needs to be inclusive along with
Yes.
technology and everything else. So in this video, you're going to see me sing a song called Go. I really had a lot of fun putting this together. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoy me. But I'm a singer, so I'm going to sing. So I
Yeah,
hope you guys
sweet.
like it.
Well, so this is the moment of truth. I'm
Yeah.
gonna mute Lachi. I'm gonna mute myself. We are gonna try to play a video from my Chromebook on live TV. Okay, stay right there.
Okay, this song is called Go, and it has reached up to 2 million, in fact, on all platforms, 4 million streams. And this song is really just the anthemic song for anybody who just needs that little push. It's called Go, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah. You've been watching it all from the outside,
but it's getting cold. It's getting cold out there. Passing you by like a drive-by. So get ready, get set. Get ready, get set. Go. Break you out and make them follow you. Screaming out like no tomorrow. Head high. No stopping, this is your life. Break you out, don't hesitate to make them follow you. Screaming out, they scream your name like no tomorrow. Your head high. Your head high. Go and leave them wondering where you've gone. Go. Leave them in the ashes. Leave them in the ashes. Go. Leave them in the ashes. Get ready, get set, go. Gone, leave them wondering where you've gone. Leave them wondering where you've gone. Gone, leave them wondering where you've gone. Leave them wondering where you've gone. No more caution, step down on the gaze. They will know what hit us. They will know what hit us. Make them grab on their rights as your base. So get ready, get set. Get ready, get set, go. Break you out and make them follow you. Scream out like no tomorrow. Head high. No stopping, this is your life. Break you out, don't hesitate to make them follow you. Screaming out, they scream your name like no tomorrow. Your head high. Your head high. Gone, leave them wondering where you gone. Go. Leave them in the ashes. Leave them in the ashes. Go. Go. Leave them in the ashes. Get ready, get set. Go. Go. Go.
There we go. It worked, I think. Oh, you're still muted. Hold on, let me unmute you.
Am I still
Okay, I
muted?
think we did it. I think it worked. Okay.
Awesome.
That was such a beautiful song. I love your harmonies. Yeah, so rad.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on here. And I just want to tell everybody, I've got a couple songs coming out. LachiMusic.com, LACHI. Check me out. Huge congrats to Gaelynn for throwing this together. A big hat tip to Judy for being here. And congrats on your mention in the New York Times, Gaelynn.
Yeah, yours too. That was pretty exciting. Yeah, first time for everything, right? So
Really?
Yeah.
Look at you making the rounds.
I know.
Get out of my city, Gaelynn.
Yeah, right. I do love New York, so I can't wait to go back eventually. It's such a great place.
Well,
and I will
let me
see
know when you're in
you
town.
there sometime in the future.
Yeah.
So take care, okay?
All right,
Yeah.
Gaelynn.
Bye. Hey, so next up we have my friend Carolyn, who's gonna do some readings. of her own work. She's an artist. Here she is. Sorry I didn't give you more warning. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good. Thanks. Is that your
Yeah.
puppy?
This is Sheila. She
Oh,
likes to
cute.
be involved in everything.
Yes, well, she is adorable. We talked about her on the phone. Well, I'm so glad that you are here with me today. I wanted to ask a couple questions before you do your reading. And the first question I had is just, where do you see, chronic illness needing to be more included or already feeling included in this movement of disability pride? Like, I would love to know your thoughts on that if you have an answer for me.
Well, I have a really hard time feeling like we're completely included, even though, of course, we are. And there are so many people in the community with invisible disabilities and chronic disabilities. But we have a lot of people who would like to consider themselves outside of the umbrella of disability just because a person who doesn't fit what they think disability looks like, they think that they can't be disabled. So they don't want to identify, they don't want to join our community, they don't want to be a part of it, even though they might look in and they might see parts of themselves that they know. They don't really know if they belong. And I think that that's really concerning with COVID and with all of the people who are going to be joining our community who may or may not represent outwardly as disabled, but who are unable to walk a few steps, unable to get out of bed, or have massive health issues that inhibit their daily life. So
that makes sense, and I think you're right. There's going to be a big societal shift with COVID. It's already happening, and the more, I think that's the whole thing about disability in the media, being portrayed as authentically as possible. It's not like sugarcoating it, but really making it authentic so that people feel okay saying, like, yes, this is a whole person that I can identify as, even if I do have a chronic illness or a disability, that you don't feel like you're identifying as less than what you were before. It's just a different community. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, I was like, oh no, now I'm rambling on a live stream. Okay, so here is my next question for you is just, you created Hospital Glam. I know you get a lot of questions about this, but people on the show might not know what that is. I know you're going to read a little bit about it. Would you like to do your reading, or do you want to talk about it?
I can read that piece.
Okay.
It's an older piece that a magazine asked me to do, but then it wasn't as inspirational as they wanted.
Yeah.
So
sad.
Yeah. So I kept it in a drawer, and I figured I would just pull it out today.
That would be awesome. I like this one. I've heard it. Yeah.
I like it that we're a hat location-based group, and that you can tell that I'm in Texas and that Lachi was in New York.
I know,
Based on our
everybody's.
hat.
Yeah, I know. I love your hat, by the way. I was going to tell you. You look ravishing. I
you.
have just the long haircut, like no haircut since March look going on right now, but that's okay.
Yes, I'm hiding it.
Yes, well, you look very nice. Well, so I'm going to leave the screen while you read, and then when you're done, I'll come back. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, sweet. See you soon.
Okay. Hey, so I'm just going to start and hope that this one does not get in the way. Okay, so this is about an EEG that I had. The nurse brought me into the exam room where I'd have a tilt table test, an hour-long cardiology exam that involved strapping me to a table and monitoring my blood pressure, pulse, and other symptoms as the table was literally tilted from flat to upright and back again. It was a stress test in the truest sense of the term, and the nurse accompanying me was tasked with closely monitoring my reactions during this time, so my doctors could determine whether postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which you may know as POTS, might be added to my existing list of diagnoses. In situations like this, it's best to be friendly, so I made small talk that included 2 questions. How are you? And is it okay if I photograph myself before the test? The first question was genuine and the second rhetorical, but she answered both by lying. She said, "I'm great. You can't photograph yourself in here for your own safety." I told her, "It'll be okay. I won't interfere. I've done it before." She tried another tactic. "It's against hospital policy. Somebody might violate your privacy." How so? By hacking into your phone. Not doing something because someone else might later violate my rights seemed like the most ludicrous reason she could lob my way, so I put it to rest. "Oh, nobody cares about my phone. I'm taking the pictures. Thanks for your concern." So she sighed, and I positioned my phone to capture the gurney, and she made sure she wouldn't be in the frame, so her consent to her image remained intact. I'm an artist, and I have several disabling invisible conditions, and I've been photographing myself in hospitals for a few years as part of a project called #HospitalGlam. I started the project when an altogether different diagnosis was piled onto my set of chronic conditions, and I knew I'd be undergoing even more procedures than I had in previous years. With #HospitalGlam, I photograph myself in the room where my doctor's appointments take place before and sometimes during those consultations, exams, and treatment. When I step into the frame, it becomes my workspace. And that shift in mindset helps me raise my voice and advocate for my needs. It's a quiet, powerful act that reinforces my bodily autonomy and prepares me for the work ahead. I found the entire process has led to better working relationships in the majority of my medical experiences. However, I knew this nurse was lying about being great because nobody's doing that well. If they need to lie to their patients by trying to scare them into doing what they want, by piling the unrelated fear of having their phones hacked and personal data stolen by strangers on top of any anxiety they might feel about the procedure they're about to have. HospitalGlam has also kept me well informed of different hospitals' photo policies. The idea of a selfie policy created to protect patients against possible future phone hacking is transparently ridiculous. That said, I've imagined this selfie policy creation meeting many times. In each scenario ends with a hospital administrator choking on a piece of cantaloupe because she cannot keep it together when someone tries to coin code Kardashian. The nurse strapped me onto the table that would tilt back and forth, where I would maybe pass out and vomit while my blood pressure changed. I talked with her gently about personal choice and ownership and the right to make my own decisions. I didn't think she lied to me because she was a horrible person or even a bad nurse at that point. I thought she was also nervous walking into that room and translated her own fear into control. I get that. I really do. I do HospitalGlam because doctors' offices are places where patients often feel powerless. We need to remember that our bodies belong to us, even in the midst of medical trauma, and any measure we can take to keep that in mind is worth doing. However, medical staff are in a different position than patients. While they can feel anxious and overwhelmed, they're physically in charge of the space. When performing procedures, they wield power over our bodies. It's also cruel to lie to someone you are strapping to a table for an hour of tilting, vomiting, and passing out. The nurse and I talked about my underlying connective tissue disorder and the difficulty it causes with adhesive in veins. My tissue fragility caused problems every time I needed an IV. So removing adhesive bandages often tears my skin open. I'm someone whose veins blow and is at risk for a spontaneous arterial rupture, which is a really fun thing to tell people at parties. I asked for the smallest needle possible and advised her that she would need to be very careful when proceeding to avoid bursting a vein. I'd been told my veins were tiny and hard to find. Her clumsy phlebotomy missed the vein at first, and then she wasn't able to figure out how to secure the needle without using the tape that would tear my skin. I offered suggestions because I'm essentially a pro-patient, and she became more frustrated. I felt the needle unsecured moving in my fragile vein. It's okay. It's going to be okay. With everything that had happened so far, I know it was not a fun time. With everything that had happened so far, would this nurse be able to work with me during a test that required her to monitor and record observations about my reactions for an hour? I thought about the mental yoga I'd need to do to make it through those 60 minutes of stress testing and multiplied it by the fear I felt from being disregarded. I told her I felt unsafe and needed another nurse. This didn't go over well. The nurse threatened that the test would take longer, the clinic's schedules would be thrown off, and the next nurse would be the same, or that I risked being able to finish the test at all. Since both my Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis and now hospital lamb, a lot of people have praised me for not letting it stop me. I appreciate the intent, but have a hard time with this language. My disabilities stop me daily. Joints slip out of place, my stomach stops working, or my organs behave unpredictably. I'm not ashamed of this. They are not the only thing stopping me, nor would being fully abled open every door that's been shut. I live at an intersection. I'm a queer woman with invisible disabilities. I work with what I have. At the moment, what I have is an unsecured needle in my right arm. Despite every bit of self-advocacy I tried, a nurse lying to me and tears streaming down my face. It's never been easy for me to admit how scary it can get when it's just me in the room. To act as both patient and advocate while the complications of Ehlers-Danlos put me at serious risk feels like too much sometimes. I was frightened and alone with a fragile vein leaking blood. Ehlers-Danlos patients die under less dicey conditions. To my left, I saw my phone perched on an arm of a monitor, silently counting down and taking a frame every 10 seconds. At that point, I'd been doing my hospital lamb project for a little over a year, and other patients had begun to join in. It bridged the gap between the isolation of illness and the ability to participate in my communities. I was both alone and I was with everybody else who was participating in the project. So I looked at the phone and told her louder that she needed to get another nurse. She sighed in protest and set down each of the instruments she had used as loudly as she could. She left the room and I bawled. I lay there with blood leaking out of my right arm and cried because I didn't know if she was going to come back in line again, saying it was impossible and my fight wasn't over, or if the next nurse would be worse. I sat up and my phone kept going, capturing images of me swaddled in a blanket with mussed hair. It does not look like I am disturbed. We can't zoom into fear. I'm thankful for that. I can't think that I didn't let it stop me when I look at this photo. I've learned to ask for accommodations and do what I need to make sure my needs are met. Sometimes, even with my best efforts, I'll fall short and need to stop. The idea that if I stop, I fail is damaging. Self-care is more. It allows leeway to stop and restore ourselves before we burn out. Do we lack the language to appreciate our ability to be bodily fragile and still show up for ourselves? I prefer she shows up for herself because it doesn't pit my body against myself as though they're separate. It chooses the power we have in our vulnerability. The replacement nurse came in and the tone changed. She confirmed that since we were at the very beginning of the test, nothing would change and no harm was done. She looked at how badly the initial nurse had needled me and tried to remedy the situation. She handed my phone to me so I could take photos with my other arm, which wore a blood pressure cuff. We talked about my concerns for the test and my health. I got to describe the symptoms I'd been experiencing and saw how this nurse responded and engaged. My pulse slowed and the anxiety that shot through me with the first needle dissipated. Later, during the test, I passed out and vomited, but it was nearly pleasant. She was that good. I moved my arm in front of me to take a photo, and this nurse said, "Wait." She curled my hair up on the pillow out of the way, then resumed taking vitals. When asked for a photograph of myself, I often give this one, taken with dried tears on my cheeks, the one where I showed up for myself. I was looking the replacement nurse in the eye in this frame. It acts as a reminder of the strength inherent to vulnerability and the way photos simultaneously reveal and hide the truth. I don't need to hear that I'm a warrior. My best moments come when I allow my humanity to rush forth unarmored. I'm a disabled woman with chronic illnesses. That is enough. And we made it through.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Ugh, I love your writing, and I think I've had a lot of medical trauma myself, and I do feel like that's one part of the disability experience, especially visibly so, that you don't talk about a lot. And I think it's so good that you are raising awareness for people to just be in their bodies and be like, yeah, show up for themselves. That's a really good way to put it. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's amazing to be on
Yeah.
here with all of these people I admire so much.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm very, 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 very excited about today. Do you want to stay on? If you do, like, I'll just put you down there and you can watch the
Oh,
rest
yeah.
of the show. Okay,
Absolutely.
sweet. Mwah.
Thank
I
you.
love you, and your dog is adorable. And thank you very much for being here. She loves you very much. It's very cute.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
See you
Yeah, okay.
soon.
We're done.
I know. I'm like, what's she doing? Oh my god. Sorry. I'll try to. I can't even. Okay. Well, there we go.
Okay.
Bye, Carolyn. Next up, we have Andy Slater, who is a sound artist from the Chicago area, and I am so excited to welcome him to the show. I think he'll be ready for me. Hopefully, here we go.
Hello.
I think he's there. There he is. Hi, Andy.
Hi, here I am.
Thanks for being a part of today.
Thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm hearing an echo, but
Oh, you are? Okay, I thought I would have
am.
fixed that. Is that
hey,
any
it's all
better?
right. Sure.
Okay, I don't know. Shoot. This is,
Everything is psychedelic anyway, right?
I know, it's really, this is just like, let's pretend we're psychedelic. So, Andy, will you introduce yourself, please, to the people who may not know your work and kind of say what you, what your overall artistic vision is, maybe, and then how it intersects with your disability?
Sure. I'm Andy Slater, and I am a mid-40s white male with a sort of a red blonde bushy beard. I'm in my home studio, which is wood paneled, kind of like a Milwaukee basement bar, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of crappy recording equipment and stuff like that. And so that's what I look like. And I'm blind, and I'm a musician, a composer, an installation artist and stuff, but I think I'm mostly identify as a sound artist, and I do a lot of work that may not necessarily fall within the realm of music or anything like that. I record a lot of weird sounds in the environment, compose a lot based on field recordings and how sounds, how I relate to sound when I hear it. It's what I've got. I've got my ears. I went to art school, but I'm not a visual artist or necessarily a visual person. And so I create sonically, and I do I create sound. I design sounds for video games, for whatever I can, and that's kind of what I do. Things have gotten a lot more accessible over the past couple of years to kind of like put me in a place where I now know what I'm doing and can do it autonomously. Are you there?
Sorry, I muted myself to try to get the echo to go away. So your work is pretty cool. It's like concepts. I just like you had one album or something where it was the resonance of your walking cane. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that was radical.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot. There's a lot of sounds that the cane can do. You run it up the wall of like a abandoned jail, or you can throw it down a sewer, and as long as I'm able to record it, I can do something with it. And that's all like technology that is like newly accessible to me. Is that I can use just with my iPhone. I can use a recording app that's accessible with a screen reader. With a fancy high def mic, so I can just go and do this. I don't have to like look at one of those Zoom recorders and get a magnifying glass or have anybody help me. So I'm finally able to like do that kind of work, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. It makes you realize how, I mean, we're uneducated about a lot of accessibility in our society, but I mean, even things like social media, trying to have image descriptions and
Oh my
just
God.
little things like how difficult it was to get captioning to work on YouTube was sort of mind blowing. Like if you want to be accessible, I think Judy Heumann at the beginning said that it should be up to the businesses to build that stuff in, and I think that's really important because that affects your version of access. Is that you know what I mean? It's a huge deal.
It is, and it's one of those things too where when I see like a disability group or a social justice group or whatever you want to call it on Instagram that don't put either don't put image descriptions in their posts or they don't put alt text on their image, I reach out to them and like, look, if you need to know how to do this, I'll help you. But if you refuse to do it, then I'm not going to listen to you. You know.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest thing. You have a social media intern. Just teach them how to do it. It's right there.
Yep.
You know, the same thing goes with like audio description for film and you know, that kind of stuff. Shouldn't be that hard.
No, it just takes a little it just takes a little extra time, but what I think the valuing of disability, the more our society values disability and the people, the human beings that are affected by disability, I think the more, I mean, we take a lot of time to like curl our hair in the morning, right? So like, well, maybe you don't, but you know, we take time for different things, and I think it means we really need to increase people's perception of our values so that they're willing to take that extra 5 minutes and just make the freaking post accessible, right? It's because there are people on the other end reading it, and that's important. So, well, I'm so grateful that you're here. How about we get into your piece, because I know we're already running a little late, but want to explain it at all? Do you want me to leave this? I'm going to leave the screen so you can explain what is going on.
So, in 2018, I had a fellowship at the University of Illinois Chicago at the Disability and Human Development Department. It was a fellowship between 3 arts and bodies of work. And I was doing some research for an art piece. I was getting very interested in the misconceptions that people have of people who are blind or visually impaired. And so I started searching online for these sort of antiquated ideas of this sort of thing. And I came across this research that was done in the late 60s at Duke University through Dr. Judith Heumann. And she had this theory that blind people could hear transdimensionally. And she called this theory crypto-acoustic auditory non-hallucination. And so I went down the rabbit hole. And then I found that there were these recordings that she tried to make of what these blind people were hearing that she couldn't hear, that nobody else could hear. She stuck microphones in the room with her participants and recorded. And these tapes came out blank because how could you possibly record something transdimensionally? They built microphones. They had all this great thing in mind. And I guess that, you know, the none of it worked out. She got her funding pulled and the tapes went on the shelf. And so I got my hands on this audio thinking I'd do this, you know, this absurd art piece manipulating her voice, because her voice was the only thing that existed on the tape. Her basically explaining in detail, providing this kind of like alternate text of what these sounds are. And so while I was, you know, restoring this audio from the tape reels, I actually unleashed and uncovered these sounds that she tried to record. She didn't know that she got it, but she did. It was just some kind of like reverse phasing or polarity on the tape. And so I discovered it all. And so I want to play some of these sounds. You'll hear her voice describing what the sounds are, and then you'll be able to hear these sounds in these recordings, because, you know, if I just want you to keep in mind that if this stuff is true, if this is proof that her theory is real and that blind people can hear transdimensionally and that our ears are magic and that we are magic, then we are going to need to possibly rethink what we know about blindness and disability and see, you know, what our disabled leaders and academics and all these people are going to think about this and how we're going to move forward. Because I know that if somebody can officially, you know, tell me that I'm blind and magic, then I'm going to go all out and try to market that completely. So hopefully we'll find a positive result. And here it is. No, it's not. Screen reader off. Here we go. Here's Dr. Heumann.
Crypto-acoustic auditory non-hallucination study, day 4.
Wendy F. There are 2 voices speaking an unknown language. They are playing their music too loud, and I don't like it. Sounds like an electric abacus.
people are exhaling but not breathing in. They do not sound well. They are surrounded by a fog, and then a ray of light breaks through, and they leave.
Charles S. A dance recital. A wooden stage. I think that this person is dancing on her hands.
Cynthia C. I have never seen a child build a television, but I am certain that this is what I am hearing.
So there's hours of this kind of material, and I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
That you're magic.
Well, not me. I've never heard these sounds, but maybe the blind people in the '60s were. So my way of trying to present this to the world is I'm going to be producing this sort of like modernized version, like a VR version of this. This ridiculous weird science theory has influenced the work of my own, a lot, thinking about weird sounds that are somewhere in the ether, and thinking about that with disability and how my cane often adds these sounds to other people's ether. My disabled body in space is always adding a click or something like that, and I kind of like the idea of maybe there's somebody else throwing those sounds into my world.
That is so freaking cool. This is really, I'm so glad that you got to showcase this, but explain it too. Man, and so this is the thing is with disability, I think that it shapes your art. I mean, everybody's art, right? In a way that, like, it's hilarious to me that we hear people say, oh, I'm so sorry that you suffer from a disability, where it's like, no, I think we're missing the point.
Right.
Like, everybody who creates anything, and people who don't create too. I mean,
Right.
you bring something totally unique to the world that wouldn't, like, literally could not exist unless you were who you were, and those people in the '60s were who they were. It's such a big deal.
It really is, and
Yeah.
it's you never want to get into the conversation with, do I care if there's a cure for retinitis pigmentosa? Do I care? When somebody's like, oh, bless you, I pray for you and that kind of thing. It's like, look,
Yep.
you don't know me. You don't know what I
Exactly.
drank last night. You don't know who I yelled at yesterday. Pray
Yeah.
for me.
Yep. No.
Don't search my
Yeah.
name. But yeah, thank you. This has been really just fantastic to be part of this cabaret, and I appreciate it.
Yes. I'm
And
so
yeah,
glad you're a part of it.
yeah. And we met a couple years ago, and here we are again. The Day Trotter Fest, where my band played with Wheelchair Sports Camp and all that other stuff too. This is a good
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
It is a good day. I love all the people on this show, and I love you too. And eventually we'll do something. I have some ideas. I'm making an instrumental album. I'll get in touch with you later. But
Fantastic.
this is so cool. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope I get to hang out with you sooner than later.
Me too.
Take care.
All
Okay.
right.
See ya
See ya.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so there's so many guests that I wasn't expecting to have to swipe up and down. Okay, now the next person is Tabby. Tabby and I met in New York City because she opened for me, but we had a heck of a time making sure that show was accessible. I have a lot of respect for just how gracefully she handled that experience, and her music was freaking amazing, and it was a great night, but really hammered home to me the idea that we really need to work on access and the arts, performing arts too, so that it doesn't have to be that hard next time we do a show together in New York. So I'm going to welcome Tabby.
Hi,
Here we are.
hello.
Tabby, hi.
Hi, I'm here with Nick. He's
Be-
playing guitar with me.
well, I am excited to ask you first to introduce yourself to somebody who may not be familiar with your music or your disability or your advocacy that you've done. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourself.
Sure, so I have spinal muscular atrophy, which is a type of muscular dystrophy. Never crawled or walked, always use a power wheelchair to get around, and also, have some respiratory issues. So, one thing that I do to overcome that is I sing. It's like a breathing exercise. It helps me know if I'm sick because it'll bring up congestion, and if I am sick it'll help me build endurance and recover from being sick, and also emotionally it just helps me vent out emotion of anything I'm going through in my life. So I am a singer-songwriter is one of my passions and careers, and perform throughout New York City like I did with you. And I do remember those measures we went through, but it was so wonderful to to be guided by you and see how you help with advocacy. That's a lot of what I do as well. I like to think that I advocate for people with disabilities as I do for myself. In the workplace, residentially, city hall, even music related when it comes to, one time even with MTV, even one time with stage, getting it to be accessible in a school.
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell what I do is I like to work on music, work, and I volunteer for people with various disabilities.
Cool. That's so awesome. So the second question that I have for you, but really quick, there's like an echo. Are we sure that the right mic is selected if you do the camera mic settings?
Yes, and we plugged in.
You're plugged into, and your headphones are in.
Yes.
Okay, and you're plugged in. Like if you do cam mic, it says your
The
interface
disable
is the
audio
right one.
processing. Yes.
Oh yeah. And then what mic is selected as the input mic? Sorry guys, but I want you to sound your most beautiful. The sound check today was perfect.
Yes. So you're hearing an echo, right?
Not an echo. It's like there's like a buzz. If we
How
can't
about now?
fix it,
Same thing?
yeah, it's like a background noise. Is there something?
Oh, it might
What
be
microphone
the
is?
AC.
Oh, I bet it is. Should we turn it off?
Yeah,
No,
it's
we
gonna
can't.
Yeah, we should
Okay,
turn off the
so
AC.
we'll do the next question because it's
Sure.
not that bad. But so the next question I have for you is
It's shut off, so let me know if it sounds
oh,
better.
that's what it was. Totally, that's funny. So the next question I have is, what are you proud of, as a disabled person? Like disability pride, I think probably looks a little bit different for everybody. What are you
Yes.
personally proud of? Like,
I'm
as
I'm proud
yeah.
to be in a lifetime where the ADA exists, and I'm proud that I can even recall the time when it didn't. I one particular thing I was thinking about recently is how my father used to have to carry me from the back of a movie theater from my wheelchair to a regular seat, and then once I was in the regular seat, it kept folding up because I was too lightweight to hold it down with my weight, and the fact that I couldn't even park anywhere, and I would be a fire hazard if I stayed in the aisle. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've come a long way. So, I'm very proud of so many changes. I'm proud of now seeing people I hear about who have graduated college and are now working, people who even tell me about disability studies being a subject matter in universities. So, I think that's great. And I look forward to so many changes that, I can try to take part in as well, and with you, Gaelynn, regarding the music scene, as performers, not just audience members,
Yep.
and even accessibility with airlines. I'm trying to help out with that as well because it's so hard to travel. I cannot get anywhere overseas. I haven't even tried because I get sick just traveling between states. So
Yep.
those are things I'm looking forward to, and being in this lifetime, we have the opportunity to pave the way.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I agree. Airlines are a huge priority, and I think people are finally starting to talk about it. So you're gonna play us a song. This is your guitarist
Yes.
Nick, right? Nick?
Yes.
I got it right. Okay, good. I was like, uh oh. So wanna introduce this song and tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Sure. I write a lot of songs about feeling like I can do anything because there are times that I am told, either directly or indirectly, but both are just as painful. I get told that there are just some things you can and cannot do. And it breaks my heart when I hear that. So, because I've written songs about that already, and I was in a moment where I want to write another like it, but have a different angle, I was thinking, well, what is the root of this feeling? And why am I feeling so hard about it now? It's because sometimes I get that message from people I love so much. And I know that, it might not be portrayed as much as I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And the root of it was, well, why do I always say I can't do anything? Because people say I can't. Why do they say that? Because I'm disabled. Why does that bother me? Because actually I am able. So
Cool.
this is I Am Able.
Awesome. Here, I'll get out of there. Here you go. This is Tabby, everybody, from New York City.
Thanks, Gaelynn.
Right?
Yes. We all make mistakes in our lives. You can choose to live or deny. If you measure me by what I've done, take count now, finally having fun. No sheep, no shepherd, no surprise. Start categorizing to type. If you see what I would do, you overestimate tools. It's rather peculiar, you say. You don't see me different, you don't see me the same. I'm able to be somebody from hate rise above. I'm able to help somebody when they're giving up. I'm able to give somebody my advantages. I'm able to love somebody, and I can be loved. I can be loved. I can be loved. I can recall the toughest days when I wanted out from all the pain. Some people ask, how do I cope? I say I do not lose hope. It's all too familiar each day. The wind might blow harder, but I'll never sway. I'm able to be somebody from hate rise above. I'm able to help somebody when they're giving up. I'm able to give somebody my advantages. I'm able to love somebody, and I can be loved. I can be loved. I can be It's worse than heartache. What's worse than physical pain? What's bad when mind is slipping? Can't remember anything. What's better than living? What's better than making things right? What's better than beating the one? What's better than your own life? When I am older and gray, I've lived to the fullest in rise above. I'm able to help somebody when they're giving up. I'm able to give somebody my advantages. I'm able to love somebody, and I can be loved. I can be loved. I can be loved. I can be loved. I can be loved.
That was so beautiful. I love that song. Everybody's
you.
clapping. The comments are flying. Tabby, your voice is amazing, and your songwriting is like so varied and rich. I really like it. So
Oh, thank
I'm
you
really
so
glad.
much.
Yeah, I'm glad you could be here and in the New York Times. Yesterday.
Yes, so
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, congratulations on all your success and keep doing it. I want to see you again when we are in New York, whenever that
Yes,
day
please.
comes.
Thank you again. Thank you for all you do. We love you, Gaelynn.
I love you too. See you later.
Okay.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so next up we have Velvet Crayon from Philadelphia. Here he is.
Hello.
Eric, how do you even pronounce your last name? I have no idea.
Crayon.
Oh,
That's right.
Crayon. Eric Crayon. Okay, I didn't realize. Just
No,
kidding.
I don't care. It's fine.
Okay, I'm so glad that
Hi.
you're here. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Now that we finally figured out that all it was a little pair of headphones. Too
Yeah,
bad.
I thought about it right before, and I was
Ugh.
like, oh, let me find a pair.
Yeah,
So
well, now
hopefully-
yeah, I think it does, sound pretty awesome now, but too bad. Anyways, thank you for coming to the show. I wanted to ask you, you have a very mixed history with many different kinds of art forms, and so I wanted people to know what you do. So, what do you do, Eric?
I play Minecraft. No, I made art for like, I don't know, my whole life. I just wanted to be funny, and I'm still unsuccessful at that. But I just wanted to be funny, and my grandma taught me how to play organ when I was really young, and so I was always involved with music, and I always liked music. So yeah, I make music. I make weird music videos. I stream on Twitch every day. Just about. I play video games there. They're trying to get me to do a music stream more often, and I should.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I should. In August, it will start. Sure. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just live life, and whatever happens, happens.
But did you mention that you were like in a circus?
Oh
Did you
yeah,
mention
I
that?
perform in a
That's kind of what
sideshow.
I was thinking.
Oh yeah. I do sideshow circus stuff too, like cabaret stuff. I do burlesque. I've traveled all around the world, doing shows, playing music, and taking my clothes off, and
Which you will
drinking.
not be doing today. Just a
Oh,
clarification for the audience.
I had that all planned. I have like 20 layers on under this.
Well, you can get down to number 19 and then you have to stop. But that's fine. Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. We did a show together in the Philadelphia area last time I was in the East Coast.
That was
and
funny.
I finally got to meet you. It was a goofy show. There's a lot of those. I'm going to write a book someday about all the less than like normal shows, which I have done,
Yeah.
which is
It was fun though. We both played very well.
wasn't the biggest audience,
But that's
wasn't,
okay.
but it was fun.
They had a time, you know.
They did. It was goofy, but it was awesome. And I finally got to meet him because I had been stalking him for a while.
Yeah, we had been talking on the internet and stuff.
Yep. I had heard about Eric when I entered the Tiny Desk because they featured one of his videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, another guy with a Y, which I assumed. I guess I didn't know for sure, but I was probably right. And and it was just cool to see someone else looping, but even more instruments. So that, because he's an excellent looping artist as well. Yeah. So, Eric,
I'm
do you
not
want to
doing
play
any
us
of
a
that
tune?
today. Not
You're
doing
not doing
anything.
any of it. No, that's fine. So one last thing before we move into your song.
Yes.
I mean, I do kind of want to see, like, what is your connection to the concept of disability pride? I mean, like, do you feel connected to that term, or what is its role in your life, like,
Yeah.
as an artist?
I think Crip Pride is such an interesting thing because a friend was talking about gay pride recently, and that's a party. It's a hell of a party, and it's great. But Crip Pride, I think, it's not a party yet. Like, we're still fighting for basic human rights. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's a
Crip
good
Pride,
way of looking at it.
yeah, like, so it's not a party yet. There's still work to be done, and I think Crip Pride is, every people will say things like, because it's true, I get naked all around the world, and people are like, whatever, and I think that's my Crip Pride, like showing them a crippled body in a way that is entertaining, and interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like making people feel weird.
That's like your like tagline or whatever. No, I agree though, because we had a disability pride celebration in Minnesota, and it was really, they tried. It was thoughtful, but it was like in a conference room, and the poster for it was like on a whiteboard, and it was
Yeah.
like a lot of speakers and not a lot of artists. And I was like, dude, disability culture is actually cool. Like,
Yeah.
verifiably does not. I mean, it's different than maybe like mainstream culture because of just the nature of our society,
We
I
hate
guess, and the
stairs,
way and the way we make art, and yeah, and we hate stairs and we don't use them, and but
But
the
I think like that's the difference, right? Is Crip Pride in some way is still preaching to itself.
yes,
And
it hasn't reached.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's so many people, like, we were talking, we can probably say this, right? We were talking about on Facebook, you weren't allowed to boost something that said disabled.
Yeah, disability rights.
Disability
specifically.
rights.
They
You
won't let
can't
me
say
boost that
that's
word.
political.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. It's so like, that's so. I don't know. I have such a hard time with the disability pride in the way that I think it should be more prideful, and
Yeah.
it should be less overcoming your adversities and saying we all have adversities, which we do, we have
Yeah.
adversities too, but so does everybody, and we're not special. Like,
No.
I think that's such a weird thing we've been told our whole lives, and it's okay to not be special. We just want to be like everybody else.
Yeah, and just a call. I've been really into the idea, and then I'll let you play because I don't want the show to go for 4 hours, and we probably could successfully
We'll have to do
accomplish
this
that.
another day and
Yes, but
ramble.
yeah, the idea of disability culture to me is what I'm most excited about. Is like,
Yeah.
it is like you see the world differently. You think about family and parenting differently. You think about like death and aging differently. Like, it's a real culture. Like, it's a legitimate form of culture.
Yeah.
And until we see that as a society, it's always going to be about the obstacles and not about the whole
Exactly.
story. And wanted you to be a part of this because your music, actually, you're playing a pretty straightforward song today, but his music goes all over the genres. And so look him up. Velvet Crayon. Do you have a website or the
Oh yeah,
Bandcamp or something?
velvetcrayon.com.
Okay,
That's me.
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to play us your tune?
Yeah, I'll
And
play a
thank you
song.
for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I gotta take off my headphones, so I won't be able to hear you. But
Okay. I will leave.
All right, here's my song. This is it's a song called "Soggy Bottom," and it's about Minecraft drama, right? Goes like this. Don't sweat your soggy bottom. just a little overbaked. You should drink some water and find the beauty in your mistakes. And don't get too butthurt by all those ones and zeros. They're all just trolls and jerks, looking for some kind hero. So even if you use the wrong words, say them with good meaning, and someday you may find that the earth has just been dreaming. And when the earth awakes and returns to the life it's living, will be its subconscious with a dream lies now hidden.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Hold on,
Velvet
I'm
Crayon. Oh, yeah, he can't hear me.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for being a part of this epic showcase,
Thanks
the
so much for
cabaret.
having me.
Yeah, and let's hope that eventually that rad party called Disability Pride will be a super party. Maybe
That
even
would
in
be great.
person
That's
someday.
great.
Yeah.
Let's
Take
have another
care.
talk again soon sometime.
Yeah, I'll have you come on a weekly show sometime where we have more time to rant without throwing everything off. So
That'd be fun.
I am looking for Kaelin next, but I don't see her.
Can I get poggers in the chat? They promised. I promised them I'd say that.
Oh, what?
Nothing. They'll know.
So I'm trying. Oh, those are your people, aren't they?
Yeah,
I don't know where Kaelin is. She should
Kaelin,
be
where are
here.
you?
I don't know. Let's see. I'll text her.
I saw her in the chat earlier.
Yeah, I know. Yo, poor you guys. Sorry. Join now. Okay. Hopefully she will. I can't. I have a flip phone, and it also doesn't have like a lot of functionality. So you know, what are you gonna do? I just had that text took like a long time.
It's a classic.
It is classic. So if she doesn't show up, I guess I can do a song first. But I guess I don't need to keep you here to just look at me. So okay, nice to see you.
Thanks
have
for hanging
out.
Bye.
Yeah, have
Thanks
a
for
great
having
night.
me.
Bye. Thanks
Bye.
for coming. Bye. Okay, so we are waiting for Kaelin to log on, but I don't know where she is. Hoping she'll come soon. If she doesn't, I'm just gonna play a couple and then let you know when I see her appear. Maybe I'll give her a quick call. Cause, you know, that would be nice to have her. You guys can all see my awesome flip phone. Do. Hey, can you join the thingy? There you are. Okay, bye. She's here. Okay, perfect. Oh wait, no, she just left. Kaelin, you left. Oh, okay, she's coming back. Okay, see you soon. I saw you for a second. Okay, so Kaelin's joining us shortly. Thank you for sticking around. This is a longer show, obviously, than usual, but I wanted to show some of my favorite disabled artists. And here we have one of my very faves, Wheelchair Sports Camp. Oh, how did you do that? What? Awesome.
What
Your
I did?
camera is... You're in a bubble.
Oh, it's a fisheye. I'm in a fisheye.
That's pretty sweet. Hi, how are you?
Yo, hi. Sorry. I'm really killing it on the technical things today.
Me too, as you have witnessed by this show. But what are you going to do?
Screens are hard.
I know, dude. Um, well, Kaylin, I'm hearing an echo, but I don't know how to fix it, so I'm just gonna ignore it. Um, Kaylin is the lead rapper slash writer for Wheelchair Sports Camp. Do you want to introduce kind of your musical genre or like how you make your music?
Sure, I make rap music. I rap about pooping tampons and shitty senators um, that take away our health, that want to take away our health care. So yeah, I grew up on rap music like forever. Rap music was like my first identity before I really like identified with any of my things. It was rap music, and
So,
I've
like,
been doing it ever since, pretty much.
where did rap and activism intersect? Like, how when did that happen?
Well, rap music has always been like resistance music, and it was birthed like every other good genre in a lot of terrible conditions. Um, and so I think rap music has always, its existence is is defiant, and I've always loved it for that reason. For me personally, like getting my own rap music more social was, during 9/11, and I was in high school, and I was already rapping at the time, but mostly just about like being little and stupid punchlines. And then 9/11 happened, and it really like changed my whole outlook look on the country and our ties to white supremacy and colonization and war and capitalism and all the things that I wish to destroy. But I can't, so I make rap music about burning it all down.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. That's but like what about where did your disability start coming into the music or like you said to me on the phone that like disability activism came later than other forms of activism. How did that happen?
Yeah, I've always been part of like movements and marches and rallies, and I've always romanticized revolution and been a rioter and into riots. But the more I was involved in Occupy, every movement I was involved in was constantly like leaving out disability. And intersectionality became this like buzzword, and people were talking about it, which was great, but disability was always last on the list or not on the list at all. And it really started pissing me off, and yet I realized, that I haven't been doing enough. Like, I hadn't been to any marches for disability justice at the time. I wasn't super connected to the disability justice movement, here in Denver, which turns out is a big epicenter for disability rights, which I had no clue about. So I did like a lot of unpacking and, working on unpacking my ableism. And then I got invited to sit inside of our Senator Cory Gardner's office with ADAPT, the legendary ADAPT gang. And yeah, I like learned so much from firsthand people that maybe like weren't there at the beginning, but like knew people who were. One of my friends was like a old school adapter, and I just learned so much about like Denver history and got kind of more plugged in to the community. And then I did a April Fool's Day joke, enrolled for mayor for like a whole year, and the big my big campaign thing was like Disabilities Act, the intersection at every intersection. And yeah, so I've always been like advocating for marginalized communities and advocating for myself. And disability intersects with all those marginalized identities. And so yeah, that's kind of a long story about how I got more into the disability justice crew. I just had to get arrested for it.
Which I have not done. So good job. That probably was pretty intense, I imagine.
I hadn't either. That was my first time, which is also wild because I should
Yeah.
have.
You're like, I should have been arrested way before then, but nope. Just kidding. So the last question I have for you before you do your tune is, like, what do you want to see for the future of disability rights? Or disability culture, too. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think what you and Velvet Crayon were talking about, which shout out to him and all of us for having the same disease. And I love y'all, and I've always wanted to play a show with all of us. So thanks for making this happen. I want the future of disability to be sexy and fun, and more like a circus and less like a conference room. Of course, I want us to be represented more, but also like how that representation like matters and how it's represented. So yeah, I want the disability future to be sexy.
That's a good answer. Which leads us in to this song, which I freaking love. This is one by Kaelin. I got to play with her on stage one time in Colorado during this tune. So here she goes. I'm going to get out of the screen.
Called Hard Out Here for Gimp, because it is. Wrote it for a friend that passed away who also shared our disability. Here it goes. This works. On screens. It's like, no matter where I go, all eyes on me. Everyone stop what you're doing. The humans moving. Ooh, and I breathe. One in many thousands, yeah, that's who I be. Now I need the whole room to freeze. They're God blessing me, but I didn't even sneeze. On the knees, questioning excessively. Wanna know my life expectancy? Like it doesn't get to me? Well, get a hysterectomy or life worth living. Don't watch TV, sounds like a gimmick. Little people living in a big world. Successful, married, couple that have kids, girl. Let me guess, they eat dinner too. My breath ain't been nothing but an interview. That's not what I did or what I didn't do. I learned to exploit all of this when I was introduced to the game. Born into lame medical debt, the brain and body weren't identical yet. We made a hell of a bet, a hypothetical mess, and now I gives no it's incredible, yes, I'm still tangled up in the mic cable and not able to eat at high tables or live life stable. I fit all your right labels but didn't get catcalled and ain't complaining at all. They're like, Kaelin, you talk too much. I'm like, shut up, you walk too much. Or is sex still the same? I'm like, nah, boo, hush. Gave me some confidence, now I got too much. Inspirational porn star. Oh, my cute wheelchair costs as much as your sports car. Look, we got enough problems, no need for you to call a cop who can't solve one. So 'tis the season, get a job, huh? Taking pics with Santa in the middle of the ball. Well, unless you get a bag in groceries or pushing carts through the snow freeze, but good thing for goodwill. Oh, please, every time I go to a show, I can't see a thing but a park front row. But I don't ask for no pity. So Kaelin, why you rapping so shitty? 'Cause there's a stairway to heaven, huh? So tell me how the hell we gonna get in? Well, Lord knows where I'm heading. It's hard out here for a gimp. There's a stairway to heaven, huh? So tell me how the hell we gonna get in? Well, Lord knows where I'm heading. It's hard out here for a gimp. It's hard out here for a gimp. It's hard out here for a Gimp. It's hard out here for a Gimp.
Yeah, I love it. That's the best song ever. Oh my gosh, so glad you came today.
Gaelynn, thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me.
Yes, I love you.
Much.
I love you too. And everybody look up Wheelchair Sports Camp. They're awesome. And go to their shows. They're so good. Take care. And I am going to do a couple songs before this long and awesome cabaret
soon.
closes. Bye, Kaelin. Okay, so hi everybody. Thank you for sticking around. What an amazing day. I think no, she's so good. Kaelin, Eric, Tabby, everybody so cool. My heart is very full to be able to host all of them today, and I'm really grateful that you're sticking around for it. So I am gonna do a couple songs for you before the end of this show, and then leave you for the week, the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I'm gonna get set up. We switching out. I don't need the headphones anymore. I'm sorry about the sound quality throughout. Trying my best, but it'll work out. Isn't she good? Kaelin is so amazing. This is good. There is a lot of work to do, but I think a lot of the right people are speaking up, so things are coming to change. Let me get set up here. Okay, thanks, my dear. Yeah, a little reverb is good. Check, check. There we go. And then my mic, I guess, and my bow. And then we're good. I could angle the mic up a little. Sweet. There we go. And then pull it a little closer to me, and then I think we'll be good. Check, check, check. Okay. So I was just gonna end on maybe a little closer if there's a way. Thank you, my dear. That's Paul's arm. So anyways, I'm gonna end on two songs that I wrote about disability. The first one is called I Wait. It's a lot about what we're talking about. The disability movement legally, like way back at the beginning, Judy Heumann said, we do legally have rights, we just have to be recognized. And I think that that is a frustrating place to be 30 years after the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, to still have to be having these discussions of how the rights aren't actually being recognized or enforced the way they should be. And so I wrote this song called I Wait, about what do you do when you're fighting for change, but the change hasn't come yet. How do you keep from getting so frustrated that you give up or lose hope? So this is I Wait. waiting in line. It's been a long time, can't get no service. Still I'm hoping, I am hoping for a sign that one day things will change and we can finally take our place. That history won't forget us or try to minimize our pain, and so I wait. And so I wait. Did you know that when I get angry, I breathe fire? I could burn this place down. You may not realize all of the small ways I am not welcome, but just take a look around. Well, everybody knows that you need a place to go, and living isn't easy if you incinerate your home, and so I say, and so I stay. I may seem angry, so please forgive me, but I am still not free in this society. How long must we keep fighting for our right to be living? Wrongs overdue for righting. We're a bit too forgiving. So if you hear them make claims of progress, take a good look and see who isn't fair. We need a seat now at the table, so please invite us, or don't pretend to care. There we go. Hey Paul, I need a tiny bit of help. This guy is peaking. If you want to put it up a little more at 2. I had to adjust it for all the speakers. It's okay if you're in there. The show is Technical Difficulty Show. Hello. Okay, that's better. So, thank you so much for listening. That is I Wait. I'm going to do one more tune for you today, but I think like my ultimate feeling about all of the issues going on right now, and I don't have all the answers either, but all the issues, it really comes down to the fact that all people are valuable, right? And all people have worth and deserve to have the same basic access to things as anyone else. And I think the faster we grasp that we want someone at the State Department, in the Trump State Department, I mean, granted, the State Department doesn't turn over, but somebody told me once that they want the State Department to look the way America looks, and I want society to really reflect the way that it actually is, which is extremely diverse, and there's varying disabilities and different races, and I'm like, why can't we? I just don't understand how we haven't realized that all of those voices are not just fine, but like good, like necessary and good and required to be in a real society, like an actual democracy where people can live to be who they're born to be. And so the sooner we realize this intersectionality like really does include disability, and also that your disability work really does need to be diverse, like, and that every person contributes to this tapestry and is required, whatever age they are, all this stuff. Like the sooner we get there, the sooner I think we'll get in a world where unity is actually a thing that we can start talking about again. So thank you for tuning in. I want to just thank all the artists that were involved, the writers and the musicians and the sound artists, and it's just important to me to showcase all the beautiful art that there is. through the disability culture and just the perspectives that they bring. So I'm gonna get off my high horse, aka my electric wheelchair, and I'm gonna play one more song. And this song is called "Bird Song." I wrote this about disability in a different way. When I first started performing music, I felt like maybe I wouldn't be able to go as far as I wanted to because I wouldn't be taken seriously or seen as the same as non-disabled artists. And I think to some extent that is true, to be honest. I mean, I think it's really cool that I finally got mentioned in the New York Times, but it's definitely like on July 26th is when they look for artists with disabilities, and I want this to be a year-round thing, right? And so I do feel that my music has changed my trajectory, but that I don't care because I'm not doing it for international stardom. I'm doing it because I want people to see themselves on stage, and I want them to feel welcome at my shows, and I want them to have a space in their own culture. So, that being said, this song is about that kind of feeling of maybe feeling constricted by society's view of you and knowing that your spirit is actually free anyways. Kind of all the way back to what Judy was talking about, how the way you view yourself isn't always in alignment with society, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. You still can value yourself. So this is Bird Song. I'm going to have you sing along with me at home. It's a real easy tune. I'm going to set up the loop. We're going to come in together and we're going to sing, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." So the words are, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." And we're going to sing it together twice, and then you are going to literally just sing that line the whole time, all the way through. And at the end, we'll end together. So let's practice it once at home just so you're comfortable. I know a lot of you have been to these shows before, but not everybody probably has. So let's try it together. So, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." So I think we're ready. I'm going to start the loop when I come in, you come in with me, and we will sing this piece together. Sweet. "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Well, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you to all the amazing artists. Thank you to Judy Heumann. I'm just so grateful. Thank you to all of you for watching this ADA Cabaret. I am just very grateful to be surrounded by so many amazing and supportive people, and the disability community just makes me really proud, like legitimately just super proud and happy. So I just want to share that with you. And thank you for being here. I'll be back next week. I'm going to be doing the same time, a later show, because I have another event earlier in the day, so 4 p.m. Central. But I'll be doing just a regular solo set. And I'll be bringing in more guests in the future. So take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful ADA 30 rest of your celebrations. Peace. Well, I gotta try to. Well, this is the weird part where it takes forever.